anything you want. Feel free to plug this.
I'm a little bit, I'm a little shy that way. I don't like, but I do want to invite everybody. And, I've noticed people from, a lot of people from Europe and Asia come. I guess they read about it, or I ask them, how did you know about it? And, it's all different ways, but it makes me really happy because I'm a little off the beaten path. And, I know that if they're coming here, they're coming specifically to come into my gallery. It's not like they pass it by all the time,
Well, I think people do read about it from all over the world. And I think, being a self-respecting New Yorker myself, like I think there is this, New York is happy that you have this space, like I remember when your other store closed, which you were doing a lot of things at once, it was like, this is an institution. We need Patricia to have a store somewhere downtown. So I think there's this feeling that it's just a part of New York iconography.
Well, I was born and bred, so I never escaped. It's all good.
Do you have a hard time saying no? Like you had to say no to and just like that because you're working on Emily in Paris, like you are very in demand, you're booked and busy. Are you the type that has, I have hard time saying no to things when it's professional. Like, do you have a hard time saying no to projects because you're so busy?
I have a hard time saying no to projects. I like to be able to accept whatever comes my way. Because projects, they all have their own identity. Ugly Betty, for example, is one that I really enjoy doing, working with America for. And, each project is a new experience in their own way. So, yes, I do. I enjoy it. The only time I'm not in love with it is when it's, I don't want to be negative, but when it's a trip to get there every day. I started out in Long Island City at Silver Cup Studios. My most recent project was in Yonkers, which was fine. But when it gets beyond that, it's like wear and tear.
When it's Paris.
Yeah, in a way. I mean, Paris is a bit of an exception because it's Paris. And I enjoyed my experience in Paris. I mean, artistically, as well as, just living in Paris for a while, because I had been to Paris on occasion, but short trips. And this time I got to know it much better. And I had one young lady in particular who was an assistant of mine who I really enjoyed working with. And we would go to Clignancourt, which is the offbeat shopping place up in the northern part of Paris. And it was good. I'm glad I had that experience. I've been to Paris before, but this time I was there for a good while.
It's another show where like the costume design is just so brilliant. What is it like working with Lily Collins?
Love her. Lily and I spoke. She was in Los Angeles where she lives. And I'm in New York in my gallery. And I said, oh, I wish you could come to my gallery and we could work and meet each other and so on. She said, well, I'm on my way to Paris. I'll stop in your gallery and we'll play and have fun. I said, perfect. So the first time I met her was here in New York in my gallery.
So she was heading to Paris.
Working with her. She's a young woman, total pro. Really wonderful.
And she too, like SJP, has broken out and had some really amazing fashion moments off screen now too.
Definitely. I mean, I think Sex and the City, because I mean, I don't know, but I think that was her real big breakout. I mean, she did that role really well. And it was, she had the backup of her three friends. It was well written. Darren, he's really a great writer. And as I said before, I do respect him. He writes hits, and he loves, his big hits are always about women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is your process like? Because like you look at an Emily, she's so different than a Carrie, or, working on younger. Like, what is your process like when you start a new project, like with someone like Darren Star? Like, do you dive into the script? Like, how do you come up with this in your mind?
Well, I mean, you have to understand there's a real person whose profession is being an actress. They're, they're not a character. They're a real life person, and they're playing this character. And I always respected that, because I don't know, it was always my feeling that playing someone else would probably be difficult for me. And so, I was inspired by working with women who could take on the role of a character that's written by someone and do a great job. It's, it's somehow part of you remains you, but another part of you have to step outside yourself and enter the world of the writer and the creator.
Interesting. That is interesting.
Mm.
There were so many interesting stories in your book also, Pat, in the city. Talk to me about, there was an employee when you had your store on 8th Street that I guess was rude I mean, your employees did speak out when they didn't necessarily approve of the way someone was dressed.
Yeah, they all thought they were stars. And I guess they were.
They all thought they were stars. They had no problem telling someone what they thought of them.
Right.
Is this true? Someone, I guess Beyonce, came into your store and one of your employees was rude to her or didn't really?
Yes, that's true. And I read about it in a magazine. I don't know, I was somewhere and I was looking at this magazine, and there was this story about Beyonce and her mom and her little group.
Blue Ivy.
Yeah, come to my store. And I read in a magazine that they were in the store, and the person who was waiting and taking care of them was very rude. And I went crazy. Imagine to read something like that in a magazine about, your baby. And anyway, I jumped in my car. They were down in New Jersey at the Performing Arts Center down South Jersey. And I went